Hey, this is Spartan 300 Today I'm going to be going Noob to Pro with Anomaly 2. So, I have a lot of things to say about this game. Unfortunately, most of which are not good. So, first off, as you can see, the game has a good amount of missions. This probably isn't even close to the end of it. But, if you guys saw my Newbie Noob, which I recommend you do, so that way you can compare the later missions to the earlier ones. In fact, one mission after, it's ridiculous. So I was playing on hardcore difficulty. So then I switched to normal, because I couldn't deal with it. Then I had to do casual, because I couldn't deal with it. This game is insanely hard. And I'm okay with hard games, but my problem is the reason why this game is hard. And you're gonna see. So I'm gonna do the mission that I had to beat on casual on normal difficulty. So 4 difficulties, hardcore is insane. I haven't even tried to play Nightmare, and I don't want to. Normal is insane. Casual, calling the minimum difficulty casual is a lie. Because it's not like you're casually saying back, okay, transform here, put the heal, and that should deal with it. No, and you need to intensely play if you want to get through any mission on casual. And I don't know if I'm bad at this game or something. I obviously am not, because I'm doing what the game says and trying to implement my own things. Every time I try to implement my own ideas, it doesn't go well at all. So let's play on normal difficulty. So yeah. Story. The game tried to implement a story, and in my opinion, it's pretty bad. It's like, oh, this project is humanity's last hope. Oh, we have to save these scientists. It's... Come on, guys. Could you have put any less effort into this? You know, actually, they probably could have. They could probably have one of the stories from Call of Duty. Oh my god, those are so bad. Actually, this one is worse, but even still, they're so bad. So now, I have given up on the unit called the Hound. Basically, what it does is that the more it fires, the more powerful it becomes, and if it doesn't fire, it becomes less powerful. So it's basically the more it's shooting, the better it becomes, so you want it to fire as much as possible. I've given up on it, because there's a certain enemy that this is supposed to counter, and it's not like it counters it, like it takes less damage or something. If I use a Hound against it, I will die indefinitely. It's not even some amazing play could save me. I can either waste every one of my resources to survive against that enemy, or I could lose the game. It is ridiculous how the counters in this game work. So I've just given up on them and went for the Hammer. The Hammer is basically just a long-range, high-damage, low-fire rate guy. These units are kind of boring. The Hound is interesting, but they kind of killed all the interest in it with the special fancy unit they got. So now I'm going to encounter a new tower. Yeah. Oh, it's shooting at me. That's not good. So basically, it's pretty much like a flamethrower. All the scorched areas, it's firing area. And it is forcing me to use my repairs this early, and that's not really good. So now I'm going to transform. And it's a very interesting feature that you can transform your guys, because each form of transformation has different abilities. Each unit has 2 forms, and some building have 2 forms. Each one, they're kind of the same. It's pretty much one long-range form and one short-range form. It's very simple, but even still, the game is, it's ridiculous. The way. That was pathetic. The way it is difficult. So basically, you can only use the right guy against a tower, or you will lose indefinitely. And so, look. So now, okay, I can't buy new guys. So now, the way the game wants you to deal with it is by placing a decoy here, because it has 2 modes. It can either fire sideways or forward. And the way they suggested to deal with it is that you turn it away from the sideways mode into the forward mode by placing a decoy. It helps, but my guys are still going through the blast, and as a direct result, this isn't really helping me that much. All it's doing is having the damage, which is pretty much still enough to kill my guys, and I'm wasting a decoy. It's ridiculous. So I usually need to use a decoy and a repair if I want to go through this one tower. And now I need to use another decoy because it did too much damage, so it killed the decoy. And now my guys are getting blasted by it anyway. So now I need to use a repair. You see what I mean? These towers are ridiculous. And this game could have been so good, but they didn't execute it right. It's driving me nuts. I love tower defense. The idea of a tower offense game is great. I've seen it done before in a couple of Flash games, but it could have been so good, but it just did it wrong. Why? Why did they have to do it wrong? Going for a rock paper scissors system. It's not like you get receive half damage from a guy, or like you get bonus damage against a certain enemy. It's like you must use the right guy against them, or you will lose indefinitely. I think I've already said this, and I will repeatedly say it throughout this video. You must use the right guys. Even if you have like 100 of the wrong guy, you're not surviving without taking at least serious damage or wasting a ton of your resources. And each tower will deliver you one resource. Well, like, there's a chance that will give you one resource. So if I'm using 2 resources for one tower, that means that, like, halfway through the mission, I have used every single one of my resources. And that means that, like, my guys are desperately trying to survive. And then, like, there's this resource that you can use to get new guys called Core Storm. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, come on. Like, just, like, I started these missions with, like, 300, and that gives me enough for 2 guys. That team, honestly, is not strong enough. So now I'm going to be able to afford 1 new guy. Yeah, 1. So I'm going to get another hammer because the other guy is useless. Because there's one of those charger guys. Now basically what happens is that the more damage it takes, the more it charges. But if it doesn't take damage, the charge goes away. So that's why these slow firing guys are good. That guy is called the Behemoth. And his name is pretty much what it does. It pretty much just kills stuff. So you see that charge. I mean, it's... And like that tower will turn into something that's like even worse than the Behemoth. It's just so ridiculous. I mean, these missions are too hard to deal with. And, like, if I want to concentrate on any one thing, I will lose indefinitely. Like, you see what I mean? I'm playing on normal difficulty right now, and I can barely do this. Like, I understand that I'm commentating simultaneously, so I'm not really doing that well. But when I play alone, I have not been able to get that area several times. And when I finally made it through on normal difficulty, I die in the next area because there's a massive roadblock of, like, 100 enemies. It's ridiculous. This game is just so much lost potential. And then, like, later on, it tries to introduce new units to you, and it just doesn't introduce new units fast enough. And the units it introduces are just so boring. Like, give me something interesting. Give me a unit that can teleport to other areas, and like in one mode it teleports to the other area, and then in the other mode it attacks. That way I have to constantly transform in order for him to be massively successful. And that's weakness is a tower that can quickly turn around. So that way if I have good enough, I guess you could say the equivalent to Micro and StarCraft, I can do very well. I mean, it's just so much lost potential. I've said this so many times in the video. So much lost potential. I love strategy games, but they didn't do this right. Why? I mean, if I were to continue this video, it would become a bigger rant than it already is, and for that reason, I'm gonna stop recording. So, you can get this game on $15 on Steam. You should really just avoid this game entirely, unless you're willing to go through a lot of rage quitting, which I have gone through repeatedly. So, I am Spartan300 Therm. A like and subscription are appreciated, and I will see you next time.